Greetings, everyone. DFG here, guys. Hey, you ever had those times when you just got to get something off your chest and something just gets into your mind and you just have to talk about it and you can't wait. That's what I'm feeling right now. There's something that's on my mind and it was provoked by something that I saw, and I just can't wait. So I'm gonna share it right now. So I hope you're ready to hear it. Now, let me say right off the front, this message is not for everybody. This message is for those who have a curiosity about Hebrew men. Okay, the men of the tribes of Israel. Judah, and Israel. So this message is about us. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to know a little bit about us, then listen. If you don't, then obviously, don't. And if it doesn't apply to you, then obviously, I don't have anything for you right now. Okay? But what provoked this thought was I was walking, out in the parking area, and I noticed this man, grown adult man, probably in his mid-30s, and he was loading something inside of his vehicle, and I couldn't help but notice that his belt line on his pants was literally at his thighs. The back of his, I guess, what is that, your hamstrings or whatever that is back there. It was literally that low. And all of his butt, obviously he had on underwear, thank goodness. But you could pretty much see his full butt, was being exposed. And I looked at that and I just thought to myself, what kind of man would carry himself like that? And then instinctively, they say, well, is he your brother? And I'm talking about one of the 12 tribes, either Israel, again, or Judah. Is he your brother? And, one side said, no, he can't be my brother. He's not my brother, because my brother would understand that a man does not walk around with his behind exposed. I mean, he just doesn't do that. That's not even effeminate. It's more of a, the legend says it's a homosexual signaling tool. That's what the legend says. The legend says that men who wear their pants like that, its origins came from men who either were forced to into homosexuality by other men in the Pinto system, in the penitentiary jail system, or men who were intentionally doing it because they were advertising homosexual sex. Okay, that was their way of, I guess, a woman who's was a street walker or a prostitute, how she wear a short skirt, or sometimes a blouse that's revealing, or sometimes something short shorts where you can almost see everything. It's exposed, just like she was wear that to signal men who may be interested in participating in sexual acts with a prostitute. These men who are walking around with their pants down were being either forced or willingly as advertising to other gay men, or men who don't call themselves gay, who would have sex with these men. And I did that because if you're having sex with a man, whether I don't know how to say this, so I'm gonna struggle with how to get this right. But if you're having sex with a man, you are gay. That's just that. I don't give a damn what you think. You might say, no, I ain't gay. Nobody having sex with me. I would never. Well, if you penetrate another man, you're homosexual. Okay, I'll move on. So that's that style. And believe it or not, this is I've talked for what now? 4 minutes, and I still haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of what I really wanted to talk about. And that's why, I started off the video with talking to the Hebrew Israelite men. So I looked at this man, I said, he can't be one of my brothers. But then, would instinctively say, yeah, he might be one of your brothers, all right. But he may be one of your brothers who is totally confused, totally lost, totally, outside of the camp. Like we used to do with lepers a long time ago, so they wouldn't contaminate everybody else in the camp. He's outside the camp. Although now we let the lepers in the camp. We let those who contaminate us, we let them operate and walk amongst us, and they pass down this leprosy, this degenerate behavior. They pass that down to generation to generation. So there's sagging stuff now. You can see it in little boys now. Teenage boys are sagging today because, they saw other men, some of their family members, some of their brothers, some of their uncles, fathers, doing the exact same thing 10, 20, 30 years ago, depending on, the age of the individuals that's mimicking the behavior of someone who is soliciting, male prostitution to other males. Okay, I digress. Now let me get into those. What is a Hebrew Israelite man? Let me give you some characteristics. I'm not. This is not all inclusive, and I don't have the time to make it all inclusive. But I can give you just a couple of things, maybe 5 or 6 little things to think about. If you're a Hebrew Israelite male listening to this, you need to gauge this. If you're a Hebrew Israelite female, you need to think about this. The men, you need to gauge it. In other words, measure yourself by it. Women, you need to listen to it to get some perspective on who you're dealing with. Because remember, all hue, all dark is not us, okay? The world is overpopulated by melanin people, but the world is not overpopulated by those of the 12 tribes. So just because they might have our skin tone, our complexion, does not make them our relations. You'll know their relations by how they worship Yahuwah, how the relationship that they have spiritually, naturally, I might add. And you'll notice the way they carry themselves, as men, equally how she carries herself as a woman. But I'm not here to talk about the woman. I'm here to educate you a little bit about the men, okay? All right, one of the things about Hebrew Israelite men, let me get right into it now. They're not like the Gentile men when it comes down to females. They're not like the Gentile men. Their mentality is a total different mentality. They think different, they respond different, they talk different when it comes down to a female. They can be very enticing, very charming, but they do not think like Gentile men. And a lot of our Hebrew Israelite sisters don't necessarily realize that. And so what happens is that she's using a Gentile to gauge her man by, and yet he is nothing like that particular man. Our psychic is totally different. We think different. We were created in the image of the Creator. And I'll leave it right there. If we were created in the image of the Creator, then it should be clear that our propensity as it relates to interaction, with our women, or in some cases, women outside the tribe, is totally different. And most Gentiles will see it as totally irrational, but yet in the body of who we are, in the making of our customs as far as what's expected of us and what we should be doing in relationship to our relationships with, the woman, it's going to be different. I'll leave it at that, okay? It's going to be totally different. And even our own women don't understand that, unfortunately. Some do, most don't. The next thing, when it comes down to the way that we think, we are totally unpredictable. The Gentile man is pretty predictable. He's going to be cookie cutter. It's going to be, he got a process. And that's how we can pretty much be in a position of servitude for them and coexist with them as oppressors so long, because they're very predictable. I'm not saying predictability and trustworthiness is two different things. What I said is that they are very predictable. The Hebrew Israelite man is not predictable. You're not going to predict this man. Unless he wants to reveal something to you, you'll have no idea what's going on with him. Just like our athletes can fake and shake and bake, not only can they do that physically, they do that mentally too. Matter of fact, the reason they can shake and bake so well in athletics is because they're constantly shaking and baking in their minds. And so you can never, unless you Hebrew Israelite men, you have the ability, because we know each other. There's a knowing. It's a spiritual power. It's a gift. It's a part of who we are, with the common spirit through that particular bloodline. So if you're trying to predict what we're thinking, forget about it. Because we can go down one particular path and then shift on you and then shift back and then go a totally different path, or pick up where we left off at as though we never skipped a beat. Our Hebrew Israelite women, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? The Gentile, his thinking process is different. His priorities are different. His value system is not our value system. No disrespect to the Gentile. That's what he was created to be and to do. And therefore, he should be doing what he's created and he's put here to do. But he's not you and he's not me. If you're a Hebrew, if you're Hebrewic, okay? The next thing, bold. one thing about our men, they are very bold. That's again, is why we constantly find ourselves in danger. Because our men are very, very bold, very, very courageous. We start very, very young, and we never lose that. Very, very bold as men. That's how you'll know them. They're very bold. They will come forward. You put them in a situation where they have to perform, provide, protect. You know what I'm saying? They are the ones you want, because they are very, very resilient, very witty, and definitely courageous. Now that doesn't mean that some of them are not traitors, because that same boldness that we have in many of our men, there's also a small portion of our men who are absolute traitors. You follow me? Very, very, very treacherous. You can't trust them. And you pretty much, like as Yahuwah told us, you'll know the tree by the fruit that it bears. But on the whole, Hebrew Israelite men are very bold and very courageous. You follow me? Almost to the point where they could be self-destructive. And you see that too in the way we act in some of these inner cities, around, this country. Okay? Now the next thing, I'm telling you, some of you guys might say, quit talking, dude, you're talking too much. Well, I'm almost done. We're very paternal. You might say, well, what do you mean by paternal? We see our offspring as an extension of ourselves. So we don't look at our kids as, okay, they're separate from us, and, we need to help them and do their own thing and be whatever they want to be, separated from them. That's not the way we think. Now, I'm not saying that we can't behave like that, and we surely will say that. Remember the faking? We'll say these things, but we see our children as extensions of ourselves. That's why when our children go awry, our children disrespect us, or our children are in a wayward way towards us, we take that very personal. That's why many times we can be too aggressive with our children, because we are very paternal with them. We see them as an extension of ourselves. And when our sons are doing something, we're looking at them like, boy, if you don't stop, and he's looking at you and you're looking at him, and y'all both know what he's talking about, and not a word got said. Because we already know what they're thinking before if somebody come and say, our son or daughter did something, looking at you, yes, she did. I know she did it. I may not tell you, but I know she did it. Or, yeah, I know he did it. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, it's a very paternal thing. It's a spiritual thing, and it's passed on from us from generation to generation. Very, very paternal, very protective. We see them as an extension of ourselves. That's why we take it personal when they do something great, and we take it personal when they do something, dishonorable. And then the last but not least, and again, this is not all inclusive. We are very, very unconditionally committed to our mothers. A lot of us are accused of not having love. It's not because we don't understand the value of love in relationships. You follow me? You heard me talk about this. There is an agape love that we have. There is a philia love that we have. And there's a protection love that we have, and a provision love that we have. But the love that a lot of women seek from the Hebrew men, they will never get that kind of love, because that love is in store for our mothers. Our mothers are queens to us. Our mothers, in most of our minds, she can't do no wrong. Even if she's wrong, she's right. And that's how you know them. You mess with our mom, you got a death wish. And I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if our mothers were wrong or in the wrong. It does not matter to us. Even when she's wrong, as far as we're concerned, she's right. Even though we know she's wrong, but as far as we're concerned, she'll sort it out. She'll figure it out. And if she doesn't, oh well, that's mom. Y'all know what I mean. Well, that's my mom. What can I tell you? You've heard that before, I'm sure. So we have an unconditional love for our mothers. Unconditional. All right? No compromise. No wavering in that. But anyway, those are some things that I wanted to share with you. And I know I went a long way from someone, grown-ass man with his pants down, to how much we love, our mothers and everything else in between. But it's just some perspective, something for you to think about, for you men, something for you to gauge yourselves by, for our women, something for you to contemplate on. Excuse me. Other than that, guys, be safe, be watchful. Protect yourself at all costs. As we all know, we're in a very time of peril now. Pestilence, famine, diseases are sure to come. They are here. But again, as the scriptures tell us, though the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of Yahweh will lift the standard bearer for us against it. In other words, we're not going to sink in this thing, okay? Some of us who leave is only because it was our time to leave. So if the coronavirus takes one of your sisters, loved ones out, your brothers out, it was only the time. It had nothing to do with the wickedness that is abound. All of us are not meant to stay up forever. Yeshua left at 33. Come on, be serious, okay? So if we leave during this time, it's only because it was our time. It's not our judgment. The judgment is for them, okay? The wicked, you know, the heathen, say it that way, all right? Love you guys. Talk to you later, guys. Thank you for listening. DFG signing out. Bye now.